Hey friends, it's Scott. I want to thank our new sponsor, MailTrap, modern email delivery for developers. They integrate straight into your code with their SDKs. You get unified transactional and promotional email delivery, 24/7 support. You contact humans, not AI chatbots. We'll give you 3,500 emails monthly in the free tier, and you can try them out at mailtrap.io today. That's mailtrap.io today. Hi, I'm Scott Hanselman. This is another episode of Hanselminutes. Today I'm chatting with Vjekoslav Krajačić. He's the principal at FilePilot. You can check it out at filepilot.tech. How are you, sir?
Hello, everyone. Hi. I'm fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You've had a really exciting couple of years. I like to talk about how people come out of nowhere, like an overnight success. But what's funny is that you had some really interesting press, and everyone's excited about your product FilePilot, but you've been working on this quietly for a year or two, but then people might be like, oh man, that guy, he came out of nowhere. But this is a labor of love you've been working on for quite a while, isn't it?
Yeah. I've started in 2022, so roughly 4 years ago. Yeah. And I was pretty much like incognito, like first 2 or 3 years, and people started noticing when I released the first initial alpha, but that was like maybe a couple hundreds of users, and it stayed like that for a year. And then a year after, at the beginning of 2025, I released it to the public beta, and then like a lot of people discovered it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is effectively a entirely engineered from scratch Windows File Explorer. It's meant to wholly replace Explorer, and
to the extent it can be on Windows.
To the extent it can.
Yeah.
Right. And that's an important thing to talk about, and we should talk about it. That there are features and deep features within Windows Explorer, some of which might be niche or little tiny small features that you don't care about. But you're trying to cover the 80%, be a good file explorer for everyday use all the time.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I've never tested like, can FilePilot read CDs or DVDs, like, because people don't use those anymore. At least most of people don't use them. So I'm not even sure if it's possible in FilePilot. So yeah, I'm pretty much, I just try to cover like
oh, wow.
Said, like
so if I tried to read a DVD, we don't know. It might work, it might not work. Who knows?
I'm not sure. Please tell me, because I don't have a DVD drive to test it.
Yeah. Well, there seem to be two big competitors in the File Explorer space. There's FilePilot at filepilot.tech, and then there's the Files app, which is at files.community. And your app and their app kind of are the two big players if you're a Windows user and you're thinking, I want to replace Windows Explorer.
I mean, there are more of them. There are more of them, but Files and FilePilot are the most recent ones, I think.
Yeah. And I think I would also go so far as to say the most polished. Certainly there are ones that have been around for a very long time, 20 years even. But from a polished perspective, I think the thing that really struck people about FilePilot is it's lightning fast. It is as fast as because I always ask myself the question, why can I run Assassin's Creed at 100 frames a second, but I can't resize this window without it feeling janky? But it appears that you're doing, is this custom GPU accelerated with OpenGL? Did you do your own shader pipeline?
It is. But I do plan to move to DirectX because I've had a really, really bad experience with OpenGL. Like, a lot of people have crazy bugs with OpenGL drivers and stuff like that. So I hope to move to DirectX at the beginning of the next year. And so hopefully stuff will be a bit more stable there. But yeah, it's completely custom. Like the renderer is OpenGL, and the UI framework is built on top of it. It's also mine. It's using immediate mode UI paradigm. So yeah, everything that you see is pretty much written from scratch. Yeah.
Some people on Twitter and social media, some positive, some negative, look at something like FilePilot and they think of it as a vote against Windows Explorer and the kind of growing complexity of something like Windows Explorer. But even though this is a Win32 app that's written in C with a little bit of C++, this is not using Win32 user interface. Like
No.
It is a game effectively. It's a canvas.
Pretty much, yeah. Like I told you prior to this stream, like I come from game industry, so I ran a game development company for more than a decade. So this is just my background, and I wanted to apply that knowledge to the apps, because when I was doing games, I was always frustrated with some of the tooling. It was usually slow, and game developers are famous for quoting apps and saying how slow they are and how games can run, like things you said, how games can run at 60 to 120 FPS per second, and apps like struggle with resizing a window or something like that. It's like two different universes. I don't know why that is, but
yeah, it does make you wonder, like, if I know this is a simplistic and dumb thing to say, but like, why don't we rewrite the entire operating system like a game? But ultimately, this is an old school, and I say this with respect and admiration, it's an old school philosophy of development, because you've made a 2.3 megabyte file, a single executable, with only 14 DLL dependencies. And you're only calling I did an analysis, by the way, before the interview. You're calling 312 imported functions. Your API surface is minimal. And
to me, that's actually a big number. It would be far less if I weren't like developing a file explorer, which has a tight connection to the OS. So I have to call a lot of function to retrieve files and thumbnails and stuff like that. So it would be a lot less if I were doing something that's not that integrated into Windows.
And you also don't even have a runtime dependency on VC runtime. You statically link the C runtime.
No, I don't even link it. I just throw it away. Like I did all the standard library thing myself. Yeah.
Yourself. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So then when people on social media who are like, we call them like armchair quarterbacks, it's like an armchair programmer, are like, oh, look at what Vjekoslav has done. This is why Windows sucks. This is why that sucks. Is this something that we should all try to be like? Is this a level of quality that everyone should try to have? Or do you think this is sustainable if you ran the Windows org or you ran the Linux desktop? Could everything in our lives be this good and this fast?
I don't know. I hope that it could be. I don't think I'm in a position to say something like that, because I don't have enough experience in all spheres that Windows is doing. But I would certainly like to see more of this. Like I'm not afraid of competition. I would like to see more apps like written in this way. I would like more people to be like passionate about the craft. And yeah, I don't know.
I think that it has got people excited because there's a lot of Electron right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, the stack is very deep. And when someone comes out with a single statically linked thing, just like boom, 2 megs, let's go. It's almost, it almost reminds me, I'm not sure how old you are, but it reminds me of the demo scene where it's like, you have 4K, what can you do?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. I mean, initially, FilePilot and this style of programming, I was initially inspired by Handmade Hero. I don't know if you've heard of that series. It was one guy, Casey Muratori. He was starting writing a game from scratch every night. It was a decade ago, and a lot of people picked up that philosophy, and I was hugely inspired by that, and I applied a lot of that knowledge to my to the stuff I did at my old company. And I always had an urge to try to apply this to some native application. So I don't know why, but I just started working on file managers, probably because that was the time when I realized that you don't have to, that you have like alternatives to file managers on Windows. I didn't know that before. So I at one point I tried pretty much all of them. I was pretty fascinated by that market. I didn't know about it before. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you just said, I'm going to build a business around this.
I didn't know it was going to be a business, but yeah, in 2022, I left my old company pretty much for some personal reasons. Mm-hmm. But I had like this toy project that I was working in my free time, and I don't know, I researched a market for a bit, and I saw a gap here because pretty much all file managers were pretty old at that time. So some of those are written like in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So for very, very early versions of Windows 95 and Windows 98. And when you see them, you can notice, because they are built with the Windows built-in GUIs. Mm-hmm. They're not built the way I build them. Yeah.
How do you decide what you bring in versus what you do yourself? Because this is a 2025 version of a kind of software that we wrote in like 1995. Like I've written apps like this. Another example that I use as an example would be like Mark Rusinovich's Zoom It. Like mm-hmm. for the longest time was a single main.c that's what there was about 5,000 lines of tight C code, and now it's got a little bit more to it. Mm-hmm. But from the analysis that I did, you have like a WinMain and you have like a WinFont rasterizer.cpp, but other than the font rasterization,
I have maybe 10 C files. That's about it.
And then do you have one C++ file for the font rasterization?
Yeah, because that's direct write code, and that code is tightly coupled to the C++, so I couldn't write that in C. It was too much of a struggle. Yeah. And it's a very small file. It's maybe 200 lines.
But did you decide I'm going to make this 2 megs, or did it just end up being 2 megs?
It just ended up being 2 megs. Yeah.
Okay. And
so my philosophy was I'm just going to try to build everything from scratch, everything except the parts that I need to use from Windows. But other than that, pretty much everything. So from opening a window to the renderer and UI and handling input and pretty much everything, handling strings, handling memory, threads, everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things that is different now in 2025 that we didn't really have in the 90s was really smart threading and asynchrony. One of the things that's just kind of deeply impressive about FilePilot to me is it's fast to show you something, but if something else comes in, it will do it asynchronously. So for example, for folks that are listening and maybe can't see this, if you right-click on a folder, one of the things that has historically been challenging with Windows Explorer is that there's lots of opportunities for someone to register themselves as a handler. And you have to run around in the registry and go and see who's interested in this thing. So if you right-click on a folder, there'd be this kind of like pause, and then you would wait for the window and the menu to render. But in FilePilot, the menu comes up instantly, and then you kind of see this like as it like asynchronously fills in whatever it needs to fill in. But you're not.
Wait, are you talking about the right-click context menu?
Right-click context menu.
Because
it's so fast.
That's the only. It's funny that you mentioned, because it's the only thing that's not multi-threaded in FilePilot.
Okay, then maybe I'm assuming because it's just so fast. When are you populating? Like I just right-clicked and I have 12 separate icons that are like open with this, unlock with File Locksmith, open with FilePilot, open with Code, open with Warp. When did you cache all of that?
I didn't. Like when you click it, I call the API and I populate it. Yeah. The only difference is I'm not using Windows UI for that. I just want to fetch all the data for the items, and then I render it myself. Yeah.
I stand corrected. So the right-click menu is synchronous, and it's still fast.
But I want to move it to the separate thread. But that's actually a bit harder than you would think, because I think that a lot of those extensions were probably written with main thread context. So every time I try to move that to the separate thread, something would break, and something would not work. Yeah, it's probably just a legacy problem at this point, but I need to connect with some folks in Microsoft that know those internal stuff.
I'm happy to make that introduction anytime.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Are there any issues that you've had where you hit a bug and you were just like unable to work around it? What's the hardest thing that got you stuck the longest when you're writing FilePilot?
Probably the thing we just discussed. So really? it's usually something that I call from Windows, and the reason for that is because that's the code that I don't control and I don't have insight into. So, and not only that, it's also because I'm using a lot of old APIs. So it's kind of hard to find people with whom you can talk about stuff like that, because most people will not use those APIs anymore. It's like it's old school. So so for instance, for right-click context menu, and the other one is drag and drop. Drag and drop was also the one that gave me a lot of trouble. And it's mostly stable now in FilePilot, but I still have a couple of bugs that I don't know how to fix. But yeah,
are they your bugs or are they Windows bugs?
I wouldn't call them bugs. It's probably just the things I don't fully understand, or I don't know how to set it up so that Windows is happy. I don't know. That's why I said I would need to talk with someone who has more experience in code like that. And it's hard to find people like that today, because most of people are just moved to the other platforms, to the .NET and stuff like that.
How do we teach the next generation this stuff? Because it does feel sometimes like, well, you're advocating for tight, crisp, clean C code that has minimal dependencies. Other people are like, let's just rewrite the entire operating system in Electron. It just feels like everyone's doing a React component these days.
Yeah, and it's gonna get probably even worse with the AI and all of that. It's because I think that as the time goes on, more and more people will be decoupled from the actual computer hardware. So I don't know how to learn those people. So as I said, Handmade Hero was the thing that clicked for me, but I don't know where people start today. When someone wants to learn a programming, I don't know where they start. Do they just start typing in ChatGPT or what? I don't know. But I don't anticipate that it will get better.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah.
So Casey Muratori, who did Handmade Hero, he's a game developer also. Is this something that you think is for game developers to kind of come back to the UI people and teach us these things and teach us these techniques? Or because I'm just wondering, like, there's a speed at which you can get things done in Electron, and it's a kind of a drug, because it's like, look how fast I did this.
Yeah.
And I assume that you didn't do this very fast. This is one application you've been working on at speed for a while. There's a lot of thought put into FilePilot.
It is, yeah. The biggest speed improvement when rendering UI is probably from the immediate mode approach. So the other one that standard apps use is retain mode. So whenever something changes in the UI, you check which part of the UI changed, and you render only that part. And that's how traditionally UIs were written. But immediate mode UI is pretty much every frame you render everything from scratch. But you have to make it really, really fast so you can do that. Once you have that, everything is so much simpler and easier, because each frame you just declare what you want to draw, and that's it. And that's pretty much how most of the games work. And that's probably the reason why games can do sometimes more advanced stuff, at least on the graphics front. Yeah.
Now I've got 4 monitors, and I have 4 monitors, and they're all different resolutions and all different DPIs. And one of the things that Windows will say, with like one of the reasons you want to use a WPF or something like that, is like free DPI support. And I'm looking and seeing how you move between between windows, and I'm not seeing you switch DPIs as I move from place to place. Are you thinking about like supporting every monitor and every DPI and every kind of window geometry, or is that something that you care about?
Do your monitors have different DPIs or?
Yeah, so like these three are 150 and this one's 125.
Because I do recalculate DPI based on the monitor Windows is at. And
okay, I'm looking. I see that the size changes, but not the size of the objects on the screen. So like the folders are the same size.
Folders are the same size, yeah, but font should change, and everything else is dependent on the font. So
that's really clever.
Yeah, that's really cool. Just the way I architect it. I'm not sure if it's the best way, but
well, no, I'm actually giving you in asking about your philosophy. I'm seeing something really interesting with Windows. They basically scale the entire thing. You've actually chosen not to scale the folders and chosen to scale the fonts, and the visual that it gave me made me think you weren't scaling at all. But in fact, there's less of a pop, because on Windows when you move, there's like a moment where more than 50% has moved, and then there's a drama. There's less drama when you move File Pilot between monitors, which is really cool. Wow.
Yeah, but you expected for folder icons to change too, right?
I only expected it because I thought, because I'm used to how things already work, and you're breaking the rules because you're making your own rules. Because right now, if I'm on a small monitor and I drag to the big monitor, nothing happens on the drag until I go mouse up and the drag completes. And then it looks like you recalculate, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why it happens on mouse up, because that's something that's specific to drag and drop in Windows.
Yeah.
Because when you're dragging the window, it enters the model loop, and there's nothing I can do. Like the whole app goes into a different mode. That's just something that's specific to Windows. You probably know that, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Because now that I'm not dragging fast, I'm dragging slow, and then doing a mouse up. I can see, because I can hold that mouse and move it around between windows, and then I go up, and then I go, and there's the recalculation, which again is instantaneous.
Yeah.
So you had a version out in February, and you were kind of like quiet for a couple of months. You're really taking your time for quality, because I kept visiting the site waiting
probably
for the next version.
Probably too much time.
I kept coming back, like, where's 0.5, 0.5? Now we're on 0.63. When do you think you'll be done? Do you feel like that it'll ever be done? Or are you going to be one of those things like Gmail that you're always in beta?
No, not always in beta, but it's a huge endeavor. So I hope to move out of the beta probably beginning or mid next year. But after that, I don't know. There's so much stuff I want to try. Like, I still haven't come to a place where I want to experiment with more new ideas. So currently, I'm just trying to make something that most people are accustomed to when dealing with file managers. But there's a ton of ideas I want to try. And then there's like porting to macOS and Linux and stuff like that. So
wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to find at least one more person next year.
Yeah. What you had mentioned what AI and how AI is causing people to write a ton of code. I'm imagining you having another person inside of your 10C files, and they might bump into you. And I'm curious what your thoughts are about AI. Do you use it at all for analysis, to learn, or are you just hands off, no AI for me?
I do use it, but to a very, very so to me, ChatGPT is like improved Google. So oftentimes when I'm not sure what to look for, or when I can't remember exactly what I'm looking for, but I know what I need, but I just can't remember what are the words. So I will put it in the ChatGPT. But after that, I'm usually in the official docs and checking every parameter, because I've tried writing some code with it, but I've been bitten a couple of times because they often hallucinate. So that's one of the problems. And to me, so when we talk about AI, I think it's a great productivity boost for people who already know how to solve a lot of problems and who know how to fix the hallucinations. But for someone who doesn't know, taking code from ChatGPT is probably very dangerous, I think. So I'm not sure where would that lead with new generation of programmers, but I'm not too optimistic, to be honest.
Mark and I believe that if you're already senior and you know what's going on, you can be boosted. But if you are struggling and just learning and you're missing context, then you're going to get actually slowed down. You'll be slower and you'll be producing worse code.
Yes.
So exactly, I like the idea of using it as a tutor and a helper, but if it's generating code that you don't understand, then you're going to get nailed.
Yeah. If you don't understand the code, that's a red flag.
Yeah. I agree. So right now, people can go and get FilePilot. The beta is free as of the time of this recording. And then you're already taking pricing, though. So you can pre-order now. There's a 20% off early bird. Perpetual license is just $40 for an individual. But if you want to be a pro, you can get all updates, which is pretty cool. And I noticed also, I wanted to call this out. This is Windows 7 and up. You could have said Windows 10. You could have said Windows 11. Was it hard to support Windows 7?
No, the reason why I included it because I'm using very old API. So I'm actually, there are a couple of things that are specific to the Windows 7, but most of the stuff is pretty much the same code. So I didn't have to include extra code to support Windows 7. But when I started it, that was like 4 years ago, Windows 7 looked to me like something that someone could use. 4 years later, like Windows 10 is out of the support, so I'm not even sure if supporting Windows 7 is important anymore. But
yeah, well, I don't think it's important, but I do think that it speaks to your craftsmanship that it's there and it works. So if you get it for free, that's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I actually like Windows 7. It's the most. It's the most. That's the one I most like. So I've been user from Windows XP. I'm a lot younger than you, obviously, but Windows XP is great. But 7 was like the best one for me, and 10 is a sweet spot. I don't know. Yeah, it's a sweet spot. Yeah. And currently I'm on Windows 10.
Since I've got you here, I selfishly, as a FilePilot user and someone who's going to purchase a copy, I will ask for a feature. What is your thinking about how FilePilot should integrate with WSL? I want to be able to see my Linux files from FilePilot.
That's just, I think if I remember correctly, VSL is supported via virtual folders in Win32 API. So once I add support for that, it will be visible. I don't think it's that hard. Yeah.
Okay. So can I see, like I see my storage devices, I see my USB devices. I don't know how to get to like my server or like / or whack server.
You need to open go to window. It's Control P. And
which, by the way, is great. Control P is great because everyone's got a command palette now.
Yeah. It's a thing. Yeah.
Okay. So Command P. I'm in the panel. This looks great.
So you just start writing UNCPath and it should find it. Unless you didn't logged in. If you have credentials that you need to enter.
That was
it. That part I need to add.
Okay.
So if you connect it via File Explorer, you will be able to see it in FilePilot.
Oh, you mean like map a drive?
Map a drive, or even if you're going to with UNCPath and it requires credentials, you have to enter them from File Explorer.
I see. Okay, because right now when I have a server that's called server, so I go / server, and in FilePilot I go / server, and it sends me to program files SQL Server.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably not right. Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, again, I want to make sure that this is all said with love and appreciation. I don't want to use this podcast to give you
network shares are things that I need to work more on. Yeah.
Well, FilePilot right now is just so impressive and so fun. It's so fast. I know that there's people who are listening who may have used tools like Everything that they really admire. The thing that you get with File Pilot that I'm so impressed about is just as fast as you can think, it can move. So, for example, you just said Control P. I just start typing, and it's 100 frames a second, or 1,000 frames a second, whatever my 5080 can handle. What's the future? Maybe give us a sneak peek into a feature that hasn't shipped yet that we should be excited about.
So probably the biggest one is support for Unicode, so I can render Japanese and Korean and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
I wasn't expecting that much exposure, to be honest. Like I didn't expect so many people to be trying File Pilot, and a lot of people are from that part of the world, and so I didn't integrate it. So that's probably the number one. The number two is drag and drop from zip archives. A lot of people use that. Yeah, and I wanted to include that into original beta release, but it's one of those COM stuff that is not so simple. Either COM as in COM.
Yeah, COM, component object model.
Yeah. It's a bit complicated.
And there's licensing that's implied because and there's different versions of zip, and there's AES encryption and 256-bit, and this. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, but it's coming. Other than that, it's mostly smaller features, quality of life improvements, and in general, like bug fixing and crash fixing. But File Pilot is in pretty, I would say, in reasonably stable state at the moment. It will occasionally crash for someone, but not that often. So I'm pretty happy with it.
I've never seen it crash at all. Yeah. And I love that I just put it in my utilities folder, and it's actually, I have it in my OneDrive, and it syncs to all of my other machines. So it's available everywhere because it's a loose executable.
I mean, that was one of the design goals, to be small and portable app. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, and you can't do that if your executable is 1 gigabyte. I mean, you can, but it's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your work. We are all watching with enthusiasm. I just, while we were talking, purchased my license to File Pilot.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
And I would,
Thanks.
Of course. And I just feel like we need to appreciate and celebrate small and medium businesses that are doing interesting work. And yourself and the other folks in the File Explorer replacement community, like Files and others, should be celebrated because you're trying new things and you're doing it in a really innovative way. And I wish you all the success.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Folks can check out File Pilot at filepilot.tech, TECH. And we have been chatting with Vjekoslav Krajačić today on another episode of Hanselminutes. We'll see you again next week.